it's like when they're actually racing. The Racing for Wildlife 200 is next.
Welcome to the Irish Hills of Michigan, here in Brooklyn, Michigan, at the Michigan International Speedway for the Racing for Wildlife 200. It's the 8th race of the 2009 season, and could it be a couple young guns that are going to find their way to the front of the pack today as the ARCA REMAX Series takes on this 2-mile super speedway? A couple guys that I think we really need to talk about, Phil Parsons, are Parker Kligerman and a guy by the name of James Busher.
Parker Kligerman right here, this kid just 18 years old. He just graduated high school last week. He went to his prom last Saturday after the race at Pocono, and he hasn't finished out of the top 10 in his entire career. Handful of races last year, all 7 this year, but one time.
Take a look at this, 19 and 18 years old, 2 wins for James Busher. Remember, he got his first win, I believe, when he turned 17 at Lakeland, Florida. I mean, he was a young kid.
I think he was still 16 when he won that race in Lakeland, Florida. Unbelievable talent in these two guys right here.
Let's go down trackside, Adam Alexander.
And you guys told the story of Parker Kligerman, this guy, a youngster who knows what it's all about to race at a big-time level. Second in points, starting 5th today. What's the biggest challenge you face at Michigan?
A bunch of it is the track changing so much from when we practiced. We practiced at 9 in the morning, and that's way colder than it is right now. And this place, supposedly, as I've heard, slicks up a lot. So we'll see where it goes. We made a bunch of changes after practice to hopefully tune it up a little bit, and hopefully we hit it right. But it's a little bit of guesswork at this point.
He's been solid so far in 09, Jim Trado.
A driver at age 19 started the season with a win at Daytona from the rear. The race car he's driving today for James Busher is the car he won with at Kentucky. 2 for 2 this year, James, but at 19 years of age, winning your first race at 16. How has the ARCA REMAX Series prepared you now to go fast every weekend in the Truck Series?
It's definitely been a lot of help, and moving up through the series and through all the different NASCAR series and all the lower series like the ARCA series and the Pro Cup series that I've ran. And I don't know, these guys do a good job. The Wolfpack Reynolds car has been real good all year. We won Daytona, like you said, and started from the pole at Kentucky golf points like today, but we're on the outside pole today, but won that race. So going for 3 for 3 today here at Michigan. Hopefully we can get it done. I'd like to. Definitely like to make it to victory lane again for the ARCA series, and I think it'd give me a lot more experience. It'd make me more confident going in tomorrow for the truck race to try to get my Max Force International F-150 in the victory lane.
And it'll be fun to watch in this Wintron number 32 here today, guys.
One of the drivers doing double duty. He just talked about it, James Busher. We take a look at our point standings, and it's been very important the past 4 races because we have not qualified in this series for the last 4 events, and that is amazing. But they go by the owner points, and we take a look here at our driver point standings.
Yeah, great battle with Justin Lofton and Parker Kligerman up front, and then Frank Kimmel. You never count out the 9-time champion. Right now he's 3rd. There he is right there.
Getting ready to climb into their race cars as we are ready for this, the 8th event of 2009. Welcome back. A great crowd on hand to watch today's Racing for Wildlife 200 in the ARCA REMAX Series. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons with you for tonight's race. And Phil, unbelievably, for the 4th race in a row, no qualifying, so we're set by owner points again.
Yeah, and the fact that they lost a lot of practice, they only had about a 50-minute practice this morning. That's really a huge advantage for the guys with experience, but a guy that has hardly any experience here, Brian Eichler, was able to be the fastest car in practice.
And again, the drivers are strapped in. Let's get the engines fired up. Let's go trackside for today's command.
And now, race fans, it's time for the command. Please welcome back your Grand Marshal as she gives us the most famous words in motorsports. Here's Aaron Bucchino.
Drivers, start your engines!
A glimpse of Ryan Newman down there with Aaron. Aaron won the opportunity to give today's command. And again, Ryan Newman, a associated with the Racing for Wildlife organization and his foundation. So he'll be with us later today in the broadcast. Speed's coverage of the ARCA REMAX Series is brought to you by REMAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. By Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Ansel Protective Products. For over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. Gorgeous afternoon for racing. It's been beautiful all day. Yesterday we had the rain that passed through. Now we can say partly cloudy, but very few clouds in the sky.
I counted 4. We had 4 clouds in the sky.
A great day for flying and a great day for racing. Take a look at our race analysis for tonight's race. 200 miles. That's 100 laps here in the 2-mile racetrack.
You see the pit window, 45 to 50 laps. Obviously, with a 100-lap race, if somebody could stretch that fuel, they may be able to make it on one stop. I really don't see it. I think, especially because they're going to have these pace laps where they burn fuel off too. So I think we're going to see a two pit stop race.
Would be quite a stretch and a gamble if someone would try to make it on just one stop.
See, Justin Lofton won the race last year with a 150-mile-an-hour average.
Very quick. Now we take a look at this super speedway, 2 miles in length.
And that's one of the keys to this racetrack. You see 18-degree banking in the corners. This is probably one of the most temperature-sensitive racetracks that we run. All the guys practiced this morning at 9 o'clock. This racetrack is nothing like it was at 9 o'clock.
Sun's been beating down on the racetrack all day long. Again, they got in about a 50-minute practice this morning at 9 a.m. and that is the only time they have been on the racetrack this weekend because of the inclement weather building up to today. Our starting grid rolling across the top of the screen. Again, that is because qualifying was rained out once again, so the owners' points were used, and that is how we set our starting grid.
And remember, when that happens, then you have some guys that aren't regulars that have to start way back at the back. We talk about Brian Eichler. He starts back in the 35th spot. Richard Childress' grandson, Austin Dillon, starts in the 36th position. Both of those cars will quickly make their way to the front.
Our 2009 Menard Ansel pole winner. Thus far this year, there's only been 4 that have actually won the pole, but we've had
7 races.
Yeah. We just have not had pole winners because we have not qualified the past 4 races. So Justin Lofton jumped out front at Daytona, won the pole, and now is on the pole once again here in this race.
And we have to say that he will be starting from the pole, but he does not win a pole award for doing that. But great to see Valvoline on board that Toyota right there for Justin Lofton, Eddie Sharp Racing.
We'll be riding along with the 2 as well. Tim George Jr. will carry one of our cameras. He's out of California. His best finish 8th at Daytona earlier this year.
The Ruby Tuesday on board for Tim George Jr. That's another one of the Eddie Sharp cars. There'll be 4 Eddie Sharp cars in this field.
And they will all be strong. Justin Lofton, again, one of the Eddie Sharp racing cars, has the pole position. Let's head back down trackside before we get underway to Jim Trado.
Starting 6th today is Brian Silas in the car number 11 that Andy Hillenberg has fielded in ARCA for a number of years. Silas in his 3rd season, he said this year is a big difference. There's 6 in owners points due to 4 top 10 finishes this season in the first 9 races. How did he get that hard? How did he get that far? He said, you know what, it takes a lot of patience. I'm learning now patience is the key, as well as the chemistry with his crew chief Cal Beaupre, who came on with the team this season. They finished their best effort this year at Rockingham, which was a 4th place finish. They brought that same race car back here to Michigan, hoping they can better that, and I think they're a dark horse for the win today. Let's check in with Adam.
Jim, when it comes to the ARCA REMAX Series on big tracks, there is one guy you always have to keep your eye on. It's multi-champion Frank Kimmel. He's the all-time leader when it comes to laps led on super speedways. He's also won more poles than anyone, and he is 2nd on the all-time wins list. In fact, a win today at Michigan would tie him as far as all-time wins at this track with Tim Steele and Jeff Purvis. As he goes for the hat trick, Kimmel rolls from the 4th position. Guys?
Yeah, on those same lines, I mean, Frank Kimmel right now is 2nd all-time wins overall in the ARCA REMAX Series. Iggy Catone, I know, has got more wins than he has, but it's just a matter of time if Kimmel continues to moved through his career the way he has up to this point, he's going to surpass that number.
Yeah, I was talking to Bill Kimmel, his crew chief down in then brother down in the garage area this morning. He said they feel like they have the best fleet of cars they've ever had. They haven't really had any luck. They had a couple flat tires last week.
Right.
Did not get the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. Did not get the finish they deserved. But you know when you start an ARCA REMAX season that Frank Kimmel is going to be a guy to contend with. He won this thing 9 times. It was close. He had a shot at it again last year and finished up in the top 5.
Yeah, and they struggled last year because of the fact of no sponsorship. They were week in and week out trying to figure out how they were going to get to the next race. And then when Ansel comes on board and Menards helps him out this year, it looked promising that this could be the year for that 10th championship.
Yeah, and they are upgrading their equipment. Again, Bill said they've got great motors from Yates Roush, and they really feel like they have the stuff to contend for this 10th championship.
Amazingly enough, it's young drivers that continue to fight him for the championship. You've got a kid by the name of Justin Lofton that right now is leading the points and is right there with Parker Kligerman, another driver, a young driver. And we talked about the youth right now in this series that are really starting to shine.
Yeah, they really are, and it's incredibly impressive how good a job these youngsters do. It's unbelievable with a severe lack of experience that they come here to this racetrack. This is a fast racetrack. Yeah. These guys will enter the corner at almost 200 miles an hour, and they're on the wheel doing it right away.
And we're about to see them enter turn number 1. The green flag goes in the air. We're underway. Cars making their way into turn number 1.
Boy, Justin Lofton got a nice shot through the center of the corner that would open up to a 3-car length lead.
Again, he had James Busher on his outside on the start of this race as they rocket down the backstretch. Getting up to speed. You see the gap between Justin Lofton and Kligerman already, as well as James Busher in the 32 running second. Look at Kligerman, though, with that big run.
It looked like Frank got a little bit loose there coming off of 4. Parker had a good run on him. He's going to pull up beside Frank. Frank is going to use the draft of Jesse Smith in the 25 car.
Jesse Smith driving the 25 this week. Justin Marks in the 15 for Venturini Motorsports.
Got a smoker right there. That's Craig Ghost in the 81 car. Had a little bit of smoke over there in that corner.
Could that be tire rub early on in this run?
Could be a little tire rub as the air pressure builds up. That should go away. Remember, the ARCA REMAX series typically has an impound, but because of the inclement weather, not getting qualifying, and they practiced this morning, and then the teams were able to work on these cars a little bit.
Yeah, there was teams making adjustments. Oh, we got a problem on the racetrack. 17 gets turned around. That's Todd Hansen.
Looks like everybody's going to be able to avoid Todd.
Slides through turn 3 and into 4, and Todd Hansen will get that car moving again and head back out onto the racetrack. So a 1-car incident, doesn't collect anyone on lap 3 of this race. Right rear tire is down, Phil.
Yeah, you spin around here at 160 or 70 miles an hour. You're very fortunate not to hit anything for one, but you're definitely going to flat spot your tires. Let's take a look at Todd. There's Brian Eichler moving up through the field. Let's see what happens when he gets down to the corner. You see the 17 already wiggling just a little bit too loose, and that could have been induced a little bit by the 61 of Brian Eichler pulling up behind him, robbing that rear spoiler from some air, some downforce.
Already sideways. Look at the smoke he's leaving back there. Bobby Gerhardt sneaks by on the outside.
Yeah, a lot of drivers did a nice job avoiding this 17 car of Todd Hansen.
So our first caution of the night has come out in the Racing for Wildlife 200 from Michigan International Speedway. Tonight on Speed, Jeff Burton joins the trackside team for the ultimate Friday night house party. Don't miss NASCAR Trackside from Michigan. Again, that's 8 o'clock Eastern here this evening. Also joining that crew will be Brian Scott.
Yeah, our winner from Dover in the Camping World Truck Series.
Look at this, Austin Dillon on pit road already early, and it looks like they've got to bang out the front valence.
You know, I wonder if he maybe went down on the apron to try to avoid the spinning car of Todd Hansen. Austin was one of the cars that had really made a lot of progress since the drop of the green flag, and that's exactly what those guys are doing. They're beating the front balance back out.
Let's go head back down to trackside and Adam Alexander.
Bad news is here they do lose some of the track position they had gained in the early laps there, Phil. The good news is they can top off the fuel tank, which means should this thing stay green, and sometimes we can have long runs here at Michigan, he may be able to make some hay staying out longer than some of the others. Tough break for Austin Dillon in the early going, who's making his second start of the year.
Again, Richard Childress Racing, you see a kind of a collage of the different RCR teams working on that car. And the reason for our caution that came out early in this one, 17, it's Todd Hansen. He will work into turn 3, and coming up quick behind him is that 61 of Brian Eichler. And as soon as he gets up on his back bumper, then all of a sudden he gets loose and wiggles around.
Started wiggling, and then once you start that wiggling, then a nice job by several drivers to avoid that. Bobby Gerhardt was one that we got a good look, and there's already in progress. There's Bobby goes to the outside. And remember now, Bobby is right in that smoke when that happens, so he really can't even see that car, but I'm sure some heads-up spotting said, Bobby, go high, and that's what he did.
So again, Todd Hansen keeping that car on the racetrack now after they've been on to pit road and changed the right rear tire was down. Take a look at our biggest movers.
Yeah, Brian Eichler, we knew that he was going to be good, fastest car in practice. Doing double duty this weekend, also going to run the Camping World Truck Series. Michael Simcoe gained 14 spots. There's Clay Rogers. He had a good practice this morning. Justin Marks, former regular competitor here in the ARCA Remax Series, has gained 12 positions.
Eichler started 27th. He is on the move toward the front. We'll be back with more Green Flag Racing from Michigan after this. Tomorrow on Speed, the Camping World Truck Series roars into the Irish Hills. Last year was Eric Darnell capturing the victory by only 5/1000ths of a second. One of NASCAR's closest finishes in history. Who will claim bragging rights this year? You'll have to tune in. Again, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Michigan tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern. NASCAR on Speed, be there.
Yeah, always an incredible show here for the trucks at Michigan. Cannot wait for tomorrow, but we've got a lot of racing yet to go here. 94 more laps, as a matter of fact.
Phil, who would you want to have help you navigate through a bunch of cars? Who would be the best to kind of walk you through that if you're Brian Eichler?
Well, I would want, normally you would say maybe the guy that has passed the most cars. See that guy in the white t-shirt? I don't know that he's passed all that many cars this year or trucks, but he's won a lot of races. He's led a lot of laps, but it's Kyle Busch right there who's spotting for Brian Eichler. Brian is somewhat of a protege of Kyle Busch. His teammates in the Billy Ballou trucks. And
do you think he's working deals right now with the other spotters? Hey, can you let my guy by?
Yeah. Move over and let him go. We have a fast car.
Well, the pace car has moved off of the racetrack back on pit road, and now it is back in the hands of race leader Justin Lofton as he brings the field into the front stretch. And we're back underway here in Michigan.
Nice clean start for everybody up front. We got, but not in the back. Unfortunately, Tom Hessert, yeah. What a horrible break he had. He broke a transmission on a very initial start of the race at Pocono last week, and obviously more than likely a chain reaction deal. You see a little damage to the right rear quarter panel. Yep. Tom's trying to get that car refired. He saw a third place that finished at Toledo last month, his best career finish.
Caution's out. They were racing hoping that Tom Hessert would be able to get that car fired up and pointed in the right direction, but since he did not, they have to throw the caution one more time.
Well, I think that's a good move by Tom Hessert staying there. Obviously, he would have had to come to pit road more than likely. He probably would have been able to keep going, but the ARCA Remax officials can't tell. That watch this chain reaction deal. More than likely, he's going to get hit from behind when they start this race.
Cherry Hill Classic cars, the white car there. Yep, sure enough, right there.
Yeah, it was definitely a chain reaction. Nothing. Ooh.
And close for a couple other drivers.
Some good driving there to avoid this being more than a one-car incident.
Again, the damage to the rear end of that one of Tom Hessert III. Lucky dog goes to the 17 who brought out our first caution, and that is Todd Hansen. So Aaron's giving a lap back to Todd Hansen. He'll be on the lead lap when we come back. Daytona 500 from 2008. What significance does that have to our Michigan broadcast? Well, the driver the Altel number 12. Ryan Newman is also involved in Racing for Wildlife. His foundation helping with Racing for Wildlife, which is our sponsor for this race. And Ryan Newman joining us here in the booth. Thanks for coming up here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be up here. It's a great racetrack, obviously a place that is close to my heart, being from South Bend, Indiana, and just look forward to Racing for Wildlife 200.
What is it that has drawn you to wildlife? I mean, was it your time as a Boilermaker at Purdue, or was it growing up?
No, growing up, my dad was always busy working to create money so we could go racing and have food on the table. So my grandfather was the one that really instilled fishing in me. And my dad and grandfather, before I came along, used to go hunting all the time. So just enjoying the outdoors, the concept of it, and you know, talking about staying green and going green, and what we can do to help generations to come enjoy the outdoors. I mean, we're here in it's the, what do they call it? The Auburn
Irish Hills.
Irish Hills.
Yeah.
I always think of Auburn Hills.
That's
Irish
where the
Hills.
Pistons play.
Correct.
Auburn
Yeah.
Hills.
Correct. Yeah. Irish Hills, and it's so beautiful here. I mean, everything's green. It's you know, just a great place to be outdoors and camping and things like that. So our Racing for Wildlife initiatives are to get kids to put the video games down for just a little bit of time to go back and enjoy the outdoors.
And as we can see, you're also involved heavily with pet adoption and spaying and neutering.
Yes. Yeah, our Humane Society efforts are probably our main focus with our foundation. But our Racing for Wildlife program is a partnership with the Conservation Fund and the Ryan Newman Foundation. We created a program called Racing for Wildlife, and the idea is to get kids and families, for that matter, to go be able to enjoy the outdoors. We're still working on a youth camp up here in Jackson, Michigan, called the Mill Lake Youth Camp, and the idea is just to get, you know, to restore it, raise some money to restore it, so kids and their families can go outside and enjoy the outdoors, and then come down here to watch this race.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk a little bit more about wildlife, but let's use some of that experience you have on this very racetrack. As a matter of fact, getting to victory lane twice here. Stay with us on the broadcast.
I'll be here.
Green flag back in the air. Again, it's Justin Lofton who's led every lap after starting on the pole. Looks like he might be challenged early on in this one.
Trouble for Frank Kimmel. Very, very slow on the start. Lost a number of positions. Frank restarted in the 5th spot. He's already back to about 10th.
Great side-by-side battle for second, though. Parker Kligerman on the inside. James Busher on the outside. Now Busher, with a little more momentum, is able to get back in front, but not for long. Here comes Parker Kligerman again.
What a great racetrack here, isn't it, Brian? Ryan, you can run the bottom, you can run the top, you can run the middle.
Yeah, there is plenty of room to race. You know, there's even, you look at going down the straightaway, nobody even runs up next to the wall per se. It's you know, drafting, heavy braking, typically because of the speeds, and it's a fun racetrack. It's so wide open, both in the acceleration of the race car, the pedals to the metal, but also there's plenty of room to use that.
These two haven't decided who's going to be that second place car yet.
Parker Kligerman right there in the 77 car, the latest of the Penske development drivers. And Ryan, obviously that's how you got started. You basically was a Penske development driver. Have you watched Parker much?
Not a whole lot, but I will say that this is a good place to make a debut. This is my first race here in the ARCA series back in 2000, and we ended up losing a cylinder, but still finished in 11th, I believe. And it's just a great place to get some experience in a car like this, because you know, you can go to a half-mile or 3/4 mile racetrack, but here you really get to experience the speed, and that's what you really need to feel from moving up to the Nationwide or Cup Series.
I'm sure Justin Lofton is enjoying seeing what's going on behind him, because nobody's going to challenge him for the lead if they run side by side behind him.
Yeah, that's a good view to have in your mirrors. 2 cars side by side, just dropping back. But they're putting on a heck of a show for second here.
Yeah, while you were down there with pre-race activities, we talked about these two drivers right here, James Busher, that 32 car, Parker Kligerman, the 77, and their impressive records that these two young drivers have had in their early careers.
Yeah, and this just talking about the racetrack here a little bit, it's still a relatively green racetrack. We got a lot of rain on Thursday, so there's not a lot of rubber on the racetrack. The track's pretty grippy, so you know, you'll still see a lot of side-by-side racing because there's not a defined groove here yet.
Adam Alexander.
You guys talked about the fact that Parker Kligerman out of the Penske development stables, and their plan when this season got underway was to run 8 races, and this is the 8th race. So the question mark becomes, where do they go from here? Well, he told me before the race they will be at Mansfield next week, most likely, and then they will do it race by race from there. And while he's a youngster, Kimmel knows what it's all about getting around these racetracks. Phil talked about a tough restart, broken gear. He went from 3rd to back around 10th. We'll continue to monitor the 9-time champion's progress.
Yeah, more than likely he probably lost at least second or third gear on that restart. So he will have trouble with that for the rest of the race. Trouble
on the racetrack. 28, Brent Cross. So a lot of damage to the right side of that race car.
Tire's still up.
The right rear still up. So he's trying to get off the racetrack now. A little bit of debris flying out from underneath that race car. No caution has come out, so he makes his way off the racetrack. And we continue to race. Pretty solid hit, though, it looked like, to the right side of that car.
It really did. It makes you wonder if there may be some pieces of brake rotor or something on the racetrack. Typically, when you hit the wall that hard, there's Brian Eichler, the 61 car. Started way back, and he's made his way all the way up, challenging right now the 60. Let's take a look back at what happened. Looks like a
right front tire.
Yeah, right front or something broke in the right
suspension
front.
was, yes.
So he moves up the racetrack, and then, as we talked about, there was some debris that flew off of that race car, but we stayed green.
And, you know, the ARCA Remax officials have spotters all the way around this racetrack, so I'm sure they gave it a good look and said, hey, there's nothing on there, so let's don't worry about bringing the caution out. Look at 3 wide.
At least in the racing group. 3 wide. You see at 61, Brian Eichler still trying to work off of the 60 of Patrick Shelter. Now that's actually a Toyota this week for Patrick Shelter.
For the first time, this is actually the Toyota that Sean Case ran a handful of races last year. Mike Abner was the crew chief on that car for Germain Racing, and he's actually here helping Patrick Shelter with that first race with the Toyota.
Couldn't get onto pit road for the 28 of Brent Cross, and so the caution has come out once again. That's the 3rd caution of today's race. Not really sure why he didn't make that hard left turn.
I don't think he could turn it.
He was trying to. You could see the black mark where he was trying to get down onto pit road, and the car just wouldn't turn left.
Stayed out on the grass. There you see the right front almost falling off the car now.
It's pretty close to the entrance of pit road, so it shouldn't take the safety crews long to get out there to him.
You know, Ryan, prior to seeing Brent have problems, we were touching on Parker Kligerman and James Busher, those 2 guys running side by side. And there, again, we'll take another look at this.
Yeah, there's the contact. Obviously, either the tire went down or something broke in the right front of that car. Doesn't matter how hard you turn the steering wheel, the thing's going right.
Yep. Physics always wins in that respect. And I'll tell you one thing's for sure. I used to call them, there's some debris there flying.
That was brake rotor. It looked like it.
Yeah. They used to call them safer barriers. I don't. Well, they used to call them soft walls, but I don't call them soft walls anymore. They're just softer than concrete. They're far from soft.
You can tell by the damage to the right side of that car that obviously even if you hit a safer barrier that it's going to do some damage. But as Ryan, you're one of the guys that obviously has hit concrete walls versus these softer walls, safer barriers, and it's got to make a huge difference.
They're awesome. The safer barriers are a great gain from a safety standpoint with any kind of racing. And you know, I guess we saw it for a long time when we kind of were naive to it, looking at the go-kart tracks across the United States that have the tires up with the steel wall, and you know, it's a very advantageous thing for us drivers, and it's saved a lot of headaches, I can guarantee you.
Jesse Smith in the 25 and his teammate, looks like Justin Marks in the 15, both of them leading the field down onto pit road. Also the 81, Craig Gose, making the hard left turn into his pit stall. Let's go back down trackside to Adam.
Frank Kimmel and Craig Gose, a couple of the drivers in the back end of pit road, who will elect to come down at lap 19. 4 tires, fuel, and an adjustment for Kimmel. And that will be the same situation for the 81 Gose, who's running for Rookie of the Year. Jim?
2.5 rounds down on the 25 car for the driver that was in the car of the winning effort last week at Pocono. That'd be Jesse Smith in the 2.5. His teammate running 5th, the number 15 of Justin Marks. That is the race car Joey Logano won with. They both had conditions they wanted to fix. The 15 car, they're a little bit loose as well. So what they wanted to do now is get that adjustment made. Again, 2.5 rounds down on the 25. The 15 car with Justin Marks, a small adjustment there as well with some air pressure.
I tell you guys, I like this strategy of coming in now. We're almost, you know, we're about 40% through a fuel run here, and I think it's time to get down, get some fuel anyway. We'll be back with more from Michigan right after this.
Tomorrow, one of the greatest racing events in the world returns to speed, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The limits of man and machine will be tested once again with international glory on the line. Live coverage begins tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed.
Have you ever done any long distance racing like that, Ryan?
No, never a timed race in my career.
A little bit of a foreign flavor. Nice France. Michel Dizier.
He probably gets the award for traveling the longest, the farthest to get here. Not the long. Well, that's maybe the longest, but certainly the farthest.
I got to brush up on my French. It's Nice, France.
This is his third start of the year. It's nice. That's nice.
I thought it was awful nice in France, but actually it's pronounced Nice.
A couple top 20 finishes. He ran 2-3 races last year. This is his third start of the season. A lot of history with that number 21 car, though. That's a Bowser racing car. Todd, who former series regular, is up on the roof spotting for Michelle.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 34 of Darrell Basham, so Darrell will get a lap back. You said courtesy of ARCA. I think it has something to do with Aaron's.
I mean, Aaron's very, very
generous.
Generous when they do.
They give laps all the time, don't they?
It really, amazing. It's amazing, and maybe the ARCA officials have something to do with it too. Maybe so.
James Busher also in the truck race at 32.
Brian Eichler, another one of the guys. There's Chase Miller. He was a former winner in the series here and started 17th, and he's made his way up to the 6th position right now. Nice run going. That's the Cunningham Motorsports. That's actually a teammate to the 77 of Parker Kligerman.
There's Chase there.
I wonder if that's one of my old race cars.
It might be. Absolutely might be.
I'd be curious to find out.
I think they bought a lot of cars from Penske.
Yeah.
So again, the field all in line behind Justin Lofton. Lofton stayed out on the racetrack. And he will continue to bring the field around to the green flag. We're back underway.
Keep an eye on Frank Kimmel. Remember, he has a problem
big
with
move out. At the front, we've got a problem right in front. The 4, Chase Miller, sliding down, makes a little contact.
It looked like that might have been the one of Tom Hessert that just clipped. There's Tom right there. It was the one of Tom Hessert, just clipped him.
So the caution comes right back out as we try to get this one underway.
Just talking about Chase Miller had made his way all the way up to the 6th position. Another one of these chain reaction deals on the start.
Now we see single file restart in this chain reaction. You drove last week at Pocono for the double file restart. Which do you like better?
The double file restart played to my advantage because we had some engine problems and had to work our way back up, and I was able to, when it narrows that gap of track position wise, you have the opportunity to make a pass. One pass can be 2 passes at one time, so it was to our benefit. But you'll see here, just guys get bunched up a little bit, and a lot of anticipation, a lot of brake checking, and looks like Chase just kind of spun the tires and lost it, and got behind on the steering, and spun down and caught the one Tom Hessert.
He didn't have anywhere to go. He was trying to avoid.
Yeah, he was all the way down on the apron, and when Chase came down, right here is where we're looking, right there. Where Brian Eichler had
60.
Yeah, Brian Eichler and the 60th Patrick Shelter both had a very, very close call there. And the pit road speed is 55 miles an hour, but they run 65 on the racetrack. So by the time they get to the start finish line, they're probably running close to 100 miles an hour, I would guess, depending on how far back they start.
They're already working, and that's the thing. The guys up front, they're going slower than the guys in the back. They're already building speed to come up, and when you're going just that extra 10 or 15 mile an hour quicker, the closing speed's pretty quick when you're already ready to go, and the other guys in front of you have check the gas, or had to check up on the gas.
701 stock car race starts for James Hilton, and Aaron's is going to give him a lap back, so he will get another lap back. But how about James Harvey Hilton at 72 years old out on the racetrack?
If anybody deserves a lap back, it's James Hilton.
He's put the time in.
He certainly has.
I think James has over 600 Sprint Cup starts. So again, a caution for the ARCA Remax Series. We'll be back with more Racing for Wildlife. Welcome back. Still under caution in the Racing for Wildlife 200 from Michigan International Speedway. Joining us in the booth today is, well, I guess the namesake of the Ryan Newman Foundation, which is also heavily associated with Racing for Wildlife. And we were talking a little bit about, obviously, you've got a couple wins at this very racetrack in the Cup Series, but you've also got wins in the ARCA Remax Series at multiple tracks.
Yeah, here's my first win here at Pocono. I got in the back of Bob Strait there coming off turn 1 and ended up winning the race. I guess that was a racing accident. I could go further into that one, but this here's at Charlotte. I was fortunate enough to have a great qualifying lap and lead every lap of that race. That was a blast. One of my favorite racetracks there. And here, the pride and joy of my ARCA victories was at Daytona, my first race at Daytona, and that was really neat to pass Ricky Hendrick there on the restart. And I had to block Frank Kimmel going down to turn 3. I think that lap or the next lap after that. And that was just that was a lot of fun, a lot of experience gained, and definitely a big part of my racing career.
It's actually 4 career wins.
Yeah, I think we've missed Kentucky.
We're
Kentucky
documenting a few as we go along.
We showed
here.
3 of them, but there was actually a 4th one. But you know, when you came into stock car racing, when you were driving for Roger Penske, I remember they coined the phrase the ABC program. You did some ARCA, you did some Busch at the time, and then some Cup, all in the same year. It was a good way to do it.
Gain experience and get to different racetracks. I mean, the ARCA Series races at Pocono, and I didn't have the experience to race in the Cup Series. Eventually, at the end of the year, we raced in the Cup Series at Phoenix. But just to get some, I think it was 15 nationwide or Busch Series races at the time, and we did the 1 Cup race, and I think there was 5, 6, 7 ARCA races. But just to gain experience at different racetracks, racing with different people, doing different things, different tires, and just the overall pure experience of racing and in general for us, a big heavy stock car that I had never had any experience in.
Justin Lofton is once again going to bring the field back to the green flag. Let's see if we can get this restart without incident. We've seen him back up a bit.
You see the according effect already, as Ryan was saying. The guys at the back of the pack have a tendency to be faster as they're trying to close up. But see if we can get through this one here. See Frank Kimmel
call, yep, back behind him.
Moving over. Obviously a problem with the transmission. Going to move out of the way.
Top 3 still look clean. As Parker Kligerman all over the back bumper of Justin Lofton. It looks like he's going to battle for the lead going down the backstretch.
Looked like he had a thought about maybe moving to the inside of Justin Lofton, not able to do it that time.
Cars up to speed as they rocket into turn number 3. A little side by side for 4th here.
Brian Silas, the 11 on the inside. There comes the 61 of Brian Eichler. There's the 20 of Steve Arpin. Good battle right here. You see Team Fox. That's Michael J. Fox's foundation
for Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, for awareness for Parkinson's disease. A great cause. Talking to Andy Hillenberger, the owner of that car, this morning.
Battle for the lead. They're side by side now, going down the backstretch.
The drag race. Seems like forever when you're doing that.
Parker Kligerman with the run. Let's see if that inside line will hold for him. You see Justin Lofton moving back up on the outside, but Kligerman able to get back in the gas earlier.
Yeah, Parker has looked really good right through the center of the corner. Even when he was behind Justin Lofton, looked like he could gain through the center. Not going to quite be enough to clear him, though. Justin's going to fight back. Actually led that lap. Justin actually got back in front of Parker to lead that lap.
Rookie stripe on the back of that 77 of Parker Kligerman. That's the yellow line on the back bumper. Justin Lofton noses that 6 back out in front as they go down the backstretch. Jim Trado.
Guys, there was discussion on the radio under green. Justin Lofton, the pole sitter, said he felt like he had to use more brakes, way too much, to stop the rear from coming around. So perhaps the car not ideal right now. They've not pitted yet, but Justin said this car's been really good, really strong in practice. But indeed, they've got a little bit of an issue with that car being a little bit loose on entry. Adam?
And Chris Carrier, the crew chief for Parker Kligerman, coaching his drivers, saying just be patient. There's a long way to go. And as you guys know, and watching these ARCA races week in and week out, Parker very mature, and he's doing just that, staying where he needs to be. He wants to be there at the end.
And you know, Adam, I talked about the fact that he was done, just finished high school. He hasn't actually finished high school yet. He will take final exams next week.
I tell you what, I'm noticing on this 6, how much aerodynamic problems is that going to be? He's got that fin on the back window that looks like it's come loose.
Yeah, it's typically bolted down, I believe. Sometimes it's riveted, but that's not a good thing. That does create some side force in the car, but obviously it's not slowing him down a whole lot because he's still leading the race and runs some really good lap times. But the most important thing is that it does stay on the race car.
Great battle for third. There's that 61 car, Brian Eichler. Remember, we said that he was going to be one of the strongest cars. Started all the way back in the 35th spot, and then 30 laps, he just took over the 3rd spot.
Right behind him, James Busher gets started on the outside of row number 1. Adam Alexander.
Rick, we shouldn't be surprised that Brian Eichler is making his way through the field. Not only was he quickest in that practice session this morning, as Phil pointed out earlier, but in his last race at Kentucky, he started 34th and finished 4th. He started so deep in the field there because qualifying rained out. That's the reason for his deep start today, but he is proving he can run with the big boys in the ARCA REMAX Series.
I'm telling you, I'm really impressed by this 11 car, Brian Silas. He has really gained on it this season. This is about his 3rd or 4th season here in the ARCA REMAX Series, and he's just piling up good finishes after good finishes. Had a 4th place finish this year, which was his career best. Really doing a nice job. 4th in points. That was at Rockingham. He finished 4th. So Brian Silas right now racing with some really good race cars.
How about Steve Arpin in that 20? He made a heck of a move on that 32. Good momentum run there for Steve Arpin in the 20 car. Tacking on to the back of that 11 of Brian Silas. We touched a little bit on the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's disease. I tell you what, that's one of those guys that I'd just like to meet. I'd like to, you know, say like meet Michael J. Fox, because growing up you saw him on all these different shows and has had such success in his career, and now he's turned all of his attention to the awareness of Parkinson's.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. I went to bed last night watching Back to the Future, and I woke up this morning at the exact same point Back to the Future was re-airing. It's kind of cool. So always liked his acting, and obviously a great guy going through a tough situation.
Yep.
Steve Arpin battling Brian Silas for the 4th spot. Look at Justin Marks, the 15. Remember, Justin has already been to pit road and already has battled his way back up into a top 5 position.
Slower car on the racetrack, Darrell Basham with 34. Field making their way around him. Again, out in front of the field, it's Justin Lofton. He's got about an 0.8 of a second lead over Parker Kligerman. Then Brian Eichler back there in 3rd. Steve Arpin's moved up to 4th. Brian Silas 5th. Justin Marks is 6th.
You know, we've had
not for long.
We know we've had a number of caution laps here, and obviously that's the guys are going to get some better fuel mileage while they're under caution. But you know, we've completed 34 laps, coming up to complete 35 right now, and I got to believe that some of these guys that haven't pitted yet have to be wondering, you know, how long this thing is going to go. I mean, we probably go to 50 laps, maybe 52. They got to be thinking about coming in, because even with a caution lap,
the last thing you want to do is pit under green when you have the opportunity, like the other guys have, to pit under caution. So it'll be interesting to see what the track position game plays out. I mean, obviously they have the track position, they're out front, but that lead gets squashed immediately when they come onto pit road. So
Craig Ghost falling back behind the 30 of Terry Jones. Let's go back down trackside to Adam Alexander.
And Rick, we should give a pat on the back to the guy driving the 31, Austin Dillon, of course the grandson of Richard Childress. He was involved in that early spin, had some valence damage, restarted 37th at lap number 7, and he finds himself now riding in the top 10. It's been an impressive run back to the front for this team, and they do have one pit stop out of the way, that coming very early at lap 5, and if fuel mileage is a factor, they will be in better shape than some of the other guys in front of them.
Yeah, Austin has done a real nice job. He runs a handful of Camping World East races, some Camping World West races, and in addition to some nationwide races. So very much like you know, your early career, he's getting a lot of experience in different kind of cars and racing against different people.
He's running a dirt late model too. I know Richard. Yeah. Talked to Richard about that, and he's I know he's been pretty successful with that, and that's a long ways different from what he's doing here. But to get that experience and have the be able to differentiate what race car you're in makes you a better race car driver.
Is that more of a communication thing, that a young kid needs to learn how to communicate to his crew chief to make his car better?
Well, it just helps to understand the race cars and be able to describe, you know, if the rear end's moving around on a dirt late model or the right front feels squishy. I mean, there's all kinds of different terminology, but yeah, to understand any kind of race car and be able to make your crew chief, if he hasn't had experience in driving a car, to understand what you're feeling, because that's really what you're trying to make the difference in, is, you know, put your crew chief in your seat and let him feel that right front shock that he puts on your race car, and give him the idea of, you know, what it feels like and what it's doing to the race car in the entry, middle, and exit of the corner.
I know Richard Childress has always maintained that he feels like dirt track racing really gives a driver great car control. You agree with that, Ryan?
Absolutely. It's seat of the pants driving, and typically on dirt, a driver can make up a little bit more for a lacking race car than he can on pavement, and it's just you know, the way you kind of bounce the car off the cushion and you play huggy pull on the bottom and where the moisture is sometimes. So it's you know, dirt racing is where a lot of us grew up racing, and it's a lot of fun.
Saw the gap there between Justin Lofton And that 77 of Parker Kligerman is over a second now. The difference between first and second. The big question now is, will we stay green? These guys will have to come in for green flag pit stops. Welcome back. The 6th, Justin Lofton. He was your race leader for every lap up to this point. Parker Kligerman just went by. And Justin Lofton coming onto pit road. It looks like he might be out of fuel.
That's what it looked like, but man, that is awfully early to be running out of fuel. We've only run 39 laps, Jim.
Guys, they are all of a sudden on the wall. They're going to look under the hood when he gets here. It may not be fuel. It may be more terminal than that. They're going to look under the hood on the engine of the 6th car of Lofton when he gets here.
So we'll keep you abreast of what's going on with the 6 of Justin Lofton. Now it's Parker Kligerman that's out in front of the field.
Brian Eichler is also on pit road, and he's slow. Simultaneously, he has to go under the hood.
That's interesting.
So under the hood for both the 6 and the 61. 2 guys we thought were going to be contenders for this race. Adam?
And Rick, I've not been able to confirm through their radio traffic what the issue is with Brian Eichler, but he was moving through the field so quickly as we had documented, and then he slid from 3rd to 4th. Justin Marks had gone around, and perhaps there was a plug wire loose because now they're buttoning up the hood for Brian. Unfortunately for him, this is going to cost him so much track position and probably take him out of contention for anything positive here today.
I can't get it fired back up again.
Yeah, it looked like it fired there for a moment, and he started to take off, and then I don't know if there was something wrong or the thing stalled, but what a horrible break for Brian Eichler. You see the
6 car, you can see he's probably cranking it right now. The engine's flooded. The timing might be off, and he's shooting fuel out the exhaust. So that's
a lot of raw fuel coming out the exhaust, and that's what's burning right there.
Trying to get that.
We'll just kick it out.
Yeah.
Just kick it out.
So they get rid of that issue, but now the left side goes up for Brian Eichler. Again, out in front right there, the 77. Parker Kligerman goes flying by. He is your race leader. Justin Marks now moves up into the 2nd spot. Steve Arkman 3rd. Mikey Kyle is 4th. Jesse Smith rounding out the top 5.
Watch this 70 car. He's going to come off the corner. Going to make a little contact with his softer wall, safer barrier.
Safer, yeah. Ryan just told you it's not soft.
It's not soft.
It's just.
This is a replay of the 6 car. Justin Lofton looked like he got in a throttle coming off turn 2, and then just all of a sudden had to pull over.
One little wiggle here. That's why we thought he actually, he was getting ready to pull down and get out of the way. It looked like he was trying to swerve for fuel, but sometimes you're not picking up all the fuel in the fuel tank, even though you make the effort to, and that's what it looked like at first.
So Parker Kligerman takes over the top spot. He had closed that gap too. I mean, it was a second between he and Justin Lofton, and he closed the gap, and then when Justin Lofton had his troubles, Parker Kligerman was there to move right by.
And remember, he's going to be one of the guys that's going to be looking for a pit stop very, very soon. The 15 car of Justin Marks has already been on the pit road, so we know he can go probably until about lap 65 or something like that. So he's got a lot of cushion right now. Parker Kligerman will have to come to pit road fairly quickly.
You go back to that last restart, we watched Parker race inside Justin there, and you know, this crew chief said be patient, and it paid off. I mean, you look at where it happened now, and now he's leading a race. He didn't put himself in jeopardy, and he's got control.
Right behind Parker Kligerman is that 15 of Justin Marks. Adam Alexander.
And the lead right now for Kligerman is over 3.5 seconds, so he feels very comfortable. But Chris Carrier's crew chief said, make sure you manage your fuel. We're going to come in at lap 49, which is 4 laps from now, but it's going to be very close. Living on the edge are the guys in the 77 bunch.
You know, Ryan, I don't understand, and Rick, I don't understand. These guys had an opportunity to come down pit road on about lap number 28. That was well over halfway into a fuel run.
Yeah, and managing your fuel at this point is just watching the fuel gauge, because the bottom line is you can't save, you know, 4 or 5 laps of fuel in 4 or 5 laps. It just doesn't work that way. So they put themselves in the box. The caution's either going to come out, or you know, they're going to come down pit road on the green here. But either way, they have to realize they have a fast race car and make the strategy to go from the race backwards and figure out what they need to do to try to get that victory.
How glued on on the fuel pressure gauge is Parker Kligerman's eyes right now? Is he saying, okay, I still got good fuel, I still got good pressure, still got good pressure?
Depends on what kind of gauge he's got in the car. They've got new gauges now that actually flash red when they lose pressure to a certain point. So that helps the driver out to know that he's going to lose the engine, lose the power, because you can lose the pressure, but the car will stay running up to the point that it actually empties the float bowls out.
And you used to get some warning. Back when the fuel pickups weren't necessarily that great, you'd get some warning. Now these fuel pickups are so good, they get so much of the fuel out of the fuel cell that you don't get a lot of warning anymore.
No, it's typically if it sucks good, basically it's just shutting off, and at that point you're at the mercy of coasting around, or hopefully you're in 3 and 4 so you could come down. But either way, you typically have to restart the engine with some ether or some extra gas.
Great battle for fourth right here. These 3 cars all separated by about a half a second. Steve Arpin in the 20 holding on to fourth. Jesse Smith in the 25 just behind him in the 5th spot, and then 6 is that 60 of Patrick Sheltra.
Clay Rogers started way back towards the back of the back. As a matter of fact, he started last, and right now he's being shown in the 7th position. Nice move for Clay Rogers up towards into the top 10.
So the battle for fourth continues as that 25 of Jesse Smith looks to the inside, tries to take it away. Welcome back. It's on the Remax Series, racing for Wildlife 200, Brooklyn, Michigan, and the Michigan International Speedway. Here comes Parker Kligerman. Just before the halfway point, Kligerman makes the hard left turn onto pit road. Adam Alexander.
And their plan was to come in at lap 49, and that's exactly what's going to happen. He will click 49 after pitting and crossing the start-finish line. He hits his marks perfectly. First time he's been on the pit lane today. 4 sticker tires, and they will fill it full of fuel. And since we are not quite halfway, an indication they will have to pit one more time, more than likely. Left side tires going on. He's been tight. They've made adjustments with air pressure. The green flag stop just about complete. They're making sure they get the fuel in. They do, and he is away.
Justin Marks now out in front of the field, and you had mentioned Justin Marks came in when that caution came out around lap 28.
Yeah, so right now, if we get a caution anytime between now and when that car right there, the 15 car Justin Marks pits, then that 77 car Parker Kligerman will be 1 lap down. Here comes Steve Arpin down pit road.
Let's go down to Jim Trado.
Well, guys, Steve Arpin raced in the USAC Silver Crown Series last year for Carl Edwards. They never make pit stops there. This is an under green, under pressure situation for Arpin. This Ontario native learning as he can here with Eddie Sharp Racing. Green flag stop. They're going to come to a halt here. The Taylor Motorsports Toyota going to change 4 tires. No real changes, though. They're going to get fuel in the car. There's green flag stops are rarity here for the most part in the ARCA Remax Series. Now we go to the left side with the Hoosier radials. A testament to the team as well. Eddie Sharp only uses his guys. A slight stall on the motor, and Arpin is down and away.
That's a good point that Jim made. We don't typically see all that many green flag pit stops in the ARCA Remax Series. Number one, the races aren't that long.
Another driver that's made a big move from 25th all the way up to the lead. It's Justin Marks. There's Brian Silas on pit road, Rockingham Speedway. And again, Team Fox on the hood of this race car.
On the TV panel, which is the back panel. Jim, what's going on with that pit stop?
Well, guys, they're very pleased. The Roush Yates engine horsepower with the 11 car has certainly put them in a position here with the 11 of Brian Silas. The Rockingham Speedway Ford is down on the pacetrack. Down on pit road. What they're going to do is the center tire was showing the cords. Let's take it back upstairs at the pit stop on the 11 going underway.
Yeah, we got an issue on the racetrack. It looks like the 03 of Stephen McCurley got turned around, and the caution is coming out. Sure enough.
And that's the bad news for Parker Kligerman right there, and Brian Silas, and the 20 of Steve Arpin. All those guys that came on pit road will find themselves a lap down.
Yeah, 12 cars on the lead lap. We're going to have Aaron's lucky dog that will give another. So we'll see how this shakes out now that the 5th caution of the day has come out. There you see Allie Owens in the 19 electrifyingcareers.com Toyota Camry. And again, out in front is Justin Marks. He came in on our 4th caution. And because of him coming down pit road, filling up with fuel, he was able to stay out longer than the guys who stayed out on the racetrack. And so he has taken over the top spot. Let's take another look at why we're under caution.
Just on the outside of another car, out on the outside of Allie Owens, and loses the back end of that car, and around he goes.
Again, that's Stephen McCurley.
Stephen does a nice job keeping that car down low.
They did a real good job there, holding the brake pedal and steering it right.
See all that tape on the front end, the barrel bond. More than likely he was in one of the. Oh, Justin Marks is out of fuel.
Nah,
you think he's waiting for the. Oh, there's no way he's out of fuel.
Yeah, he can't be out of fuel yet.
Undoubtedly, the pace car went by.
Wait for the pace car.
Yeah,
he was racing the pace car earlier and thought he was winning. They decided to.
That's a good problem to have. Yeah, racing the pace car. I'll tell you that right now.
Pit road is closed right now. Again, Justin Marks came onto pit road a little after lap 20, and so then he was able to stay out on the racetrack, and that is how he has been able to jump out front. It looks as though we have 16 cars on the lead lap. We'll come back and shake it all out. Welcome back. Racing for Wildlife 200 under caution. They have just opened pit road, so we expect to see Justin Lofton and the rest of our lead lap cars making the hard left turn so that they can make their final pit stop of this race.
Big break for Patrick Shelter. A couple of those guys had not pitted yet. Adam, what's going on pit road?
And Shelter, one of the guys that had not pitted, Phil. He normally runs Dodges, but this week they bought a Toyota from Germain Racing, and Mike Abner has come over and crew chief in a big break. When the caution came out for this team, he has been tight. They're going to make a chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Jim Prado.
4 tires and fuel for the Grease Lightning Chevy. The number 29 of Mikey Kyle finished 8th last week at Pocono. Brought that same race car here. The team's done a great job. This is Brad Keselowski's personal machine. And Mikey's done a great job in this car. Again, in contention. The 15 car on the top of your screen. They pitted once before under caution. They thought they were in the catbird seat because they had position on the guys that had to come in if they had to stay out. Indeed, they got that position. And what they ended up doing with that, they just did a window, 4 tires, no real changes. Justin Marks said, guys, I don't want to go too far off of what we have, just a little tight in. So they fixed it with some air pressure. They did not pull the windshield, though.
So he might have a little bit of a, vision impairment, but other than that,
you'd be surprised what it is, how important it is to have that clear view sometimes.
Speed's coverage of the ARCA REMAX Series is brought to you by Aaron's. Nobody beats Aaron's, nobody. And by Husqvarna. Master your great outdoors with Husqvarna. Professionally proven outdoor power equipment. A great day to be hanging out in the infield at Michigan International Speedway here in Brooklyn, Michigan. Let's recap this race. We passed the halfway point. The green flag flying, that was Aaron. She was down there for the command also, helping you out, Ryan.
Flew in from Connecticut.
On lap 3 early on, the problems start for Todd Hansen in that 17.
We got a couple jumbled up restarts. Here's one of them right here. The one of Tom Hesser's going to pay the price. He's going to get some damage here. Flat tires.
Lap 16 into the wall. The 28 goes of Brent Cross. Now, the caution didn't come right out for Brent. Waited a little bit before. And then the restart. Problems for Chase Miller.
Yeah, Chase Miller had driven his way all the way up to the 6th position. And unfortunately, a chain reaction deal. He got caught up in it.
At 39, it was Justin Lofton leading the race. And then problems for them onto pit road. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway.
You can see middle top of your screen, the 44 Frank Kemmel. Remember, he has that transmission problem. Has to pull over and let the faster cars go by him. Then he has to work to pass them back.
Race leader is the 25 Jesse Smith in that white Venturini Motorsports race car. Right behind Jesse Smith, Justin Marks in the 15. So
not for long. Justin Marks goes for the lead, and that is a teammate to the 25 of Jesse Smith.
Those 2 Venturini Motorsport race cars running nose to tail, 1-2 now on the racetrack.
Steve Arpin, remember we saw his pit stop just before the caution flag came out. Debris on the racetrack. That's going to bring another one out, and that will probably get the 20 Steve Arpin on Aaron's lucky dog. Caution is out.
So the caution comes out one more time. Now was Steve Arpin at the back end of the lead lap, or on the lead lap, or was he
That's the key.
The
They're
first
going
lap
to
down.
have to determine what the last scoring loop was that they went across when the caution flag was put out by the control tower. If Steve Arpin was still ahead of the leader, Justin Marks, then he will get his lap back. He will earn it back. And the 11 of Brian Silas will be the lucky dog.
Take a look. There's some of the sheet metal coming off of
Tom Hessert's car is what that
Hessert's
came
race
off. We
car.
saw his damage from that earlier incident on a restart.
So having some troubles now getting back underway after we've had the restarts. This time it was debris on the racetrack.
We're getting a ruling from the ARCA Remax officials that Steve Arpin was actually in front of Justin Marks when the caution flag was displayed. So the lucky dog will go to the 11 of Brian Silas. So good break for Brian and a good heads-up driving by the 20 of Steve Arpin to earn his lap back. And there's our lucky dog right there, Brian Silas.
Given to Brian by Aaron's.
And the ARCA Remax
And the ARCA Remax officials. Again, teamfox.org.
And you can thank Steve Arpin for that too, for earning his lap back.
That's right.
Austin Dillon, they're running third. He's had a good day moving up forward the whole time.
Started way back too. I think all these lead lap cars pitted on lap number 55 and the lap down cars pitted on lap 56. I believe that will probably be enough, especially with a few caution laps that we have, to get these guys in the window.
Yeah, absolutely. The caution laps definitely help you on the fuel mileage. It's usually 2 to 1. Every 2 caution flag laps equal 1 green flag lap, so that's a definite gain for those guys.
Just a Marks, our leader.
Yep. Most of the time out front it was Justin Lofton until he had issues. Then Parker Kligerman took over up front. He had to come onto pit road under a green flag condition. That gave the lead to Justin Marks.
Is Parker on the lead lap or not?
He is. Parker is on. He got the lucky dog when that caution came out after his pit stop.
We're hearing on the radio that he might be coming onto pit road for fuel.
Yeah, there's only one car behind him right now that is on the lead lap, so really nothing to be lost by coming down pit road and getting you a little bit of insurance.
Yeah, he pitted, I think, at lap 49. He crossed the start-finish line at 50, so that would have put him really close to making it. With more green flag runs, they had several yellow flag laps at the start of the race there, so just some insurance, like you said.
Let's go down to Adam Alexander.
He received the free pass under that caution a few moments ago when everyone pitted at lap 55. They did come down and top off at lap 56, and now, as you guys talked about, some insurance at lap 61 for Parker Kligerman, who pulls away, and we'll see if he can make his way back through the field, Jim.
Steve Arpin comes back down pit road after not getting that lap back. So what they're going to do is going to change right side tires. They've got the left sides on the wall. We'll see if it's a 2 or 4 tire change for this team. As team owner Eddie Sharp is now down here as he was in the 6th pit when the issues happened. Their teammate Justin Laughlin, if you just tuned in, was leading the race from the pole position. They think they might have fried the kill switch on the 6 car. They're still behind the wall working on that as his teammate Steve Arpin completes a 4 tire change here on pit road.
The kill switch that Jim's talking about is a switch that actually a driver can operate from the steering wheel, and it's required on these cars. And if you have a throttle hanger or something like that, you can actually kill the engine. And occasionally you will see one go bad. You don't see it very often, but I guess that's all they could determine that it happens. I know I have seen a driver hit it by accident before and not know what caused it.
I've done it by accident, but I've never heard of it, shorting out or killing it. So definitely something. You never know what's going to happen in racing. We always say that.
Have you ever pushed the wrong button thinking you're talking on the radio and you push the kill switch?
No, never done that. 2 different thumbs.
Very good. Let's head back down trackside to Adam Alexander.
And we haven't talked a lot about Austin Dillon today, and he was as far back as 37th in the running order in this race. And a combination of things. One, luck, because the caution came out when it did, so he did not have to pit under green. And also, great work from his RCR pit crew. He now finds himself in the 3rd position after they picked up 3 spots on that cycle of pit stops a moment ago, Jim.
Hey guys, Blake Bainbridge is helping out the 42 car. That's Clay Rogers behind the wheel. They won a championship together in the Pro Cup Series in 2006. Bainbridge is here today. Last weekend he was helping out a different team, but this car was built with Blake and Billy Hess in their shops to get this car on the racetrack. The 42 car driven by Clay Rogers, who's been in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Nationwide. That's right, Nationwide Series. He's run a truck here at Michigan. And again, he's a point leader in the Pro Series coming into this race. The Pro Cup Series winning 2 of 4, but this may be one of only 2 or 3 ARCA chances this team got. So they're going to make some gambles as Mark Beard out of Michigan is the owner on this car. They're doing a fine job running 5th right now with Blake Bainbridge on the box.
Started all the way back in 40th.
Big mover. This Thursday, Wrecked is all new. Thursday night, O'Hare must tow a bridge across an icy pond. A disaster looms when the ice beneath begins to break. Don't miss the all-new, heart-pounding episode of Wrecked, Life in the Crash Lane. Thursday night, 10 Eastern, exclusively on Speed.
I bet you that water will be cold under that ice.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I don't think I would want to be anywhere near that bridge if I started to hear the ice crack. Again, Justin Lofton out in front as we're getting ready to go back to, Justin Marks out front as we're getting back to green flag racing. Right behind him, his teammate in the 25, Jesse Smith. Double file restart. At least on the inside, we've got the lap down cars. Outside are the lead lap cars. Green flags back in the air.
Pretty good start that time. Again, we'll see Frank Kimmel have to move to the inside. James Busher, the 32 car, one of the guys we highlighted at the beginning of the show, finds himself 1 lap down, trying to get in front of our leader right now, Justin Marks, to earn that lap back.
Stay on the lead lap, doing it the hard way right now. Outrunning the race leader, which is Justin Marks in the 15. Jesse Smith just behind him in the 25. Austin Dillon, Mikey Kyle, and Clay Rogers, your top 5.
Nice run up off the corner for Justin Marks in that 15 car.
Justin's car looked really good. He was hugging the yellow line down there, or white line rather, in 3 and 4 really nice. And it's the shortest way around sometimes is the best way.
Justin was a regular competitor here in the series. Had a couple second place finishes, a few second place finishes. Never quite able to get in that victory lane. There's a battle right there for the 4th spot. Clay Rogers trying to take that 4th spot away from Mikey Kyle in the 29.
Caution once again. That's Terry Jones in the 30 who slides down the back stretch.
Doesn't look like Terry hit anything. Terry was one of the cars, or is one of the cars on the lead lap, and obviously see the left front tire is flat, but if he can get that car going, get back around, he will remain on the lead lap.
Terry, one of our Canadian drivers from Amherstburg, Ontario.
Spinning out at 180 miles an hour with a flat left front tire, that's a pretty good end result.
Not a lot of body damage.
You know what I mean? It's not good, but it could have been a lot worse.
No frame damage, no body damage.
Exactly, because that inside wall comes up really quick when you lose control off turn 2.
And no other cars obviously involved in this one. So Terry Jones gets out of this.
Just coming off the corner, got a little bit loose. Looked like it was almost up off the corner. You can still get loose even though you're almost straight, can't you, Ryan?
Yeah, you still got a lot of wheel on it up until the gate out there coming off of turn 2, and even then, I mean, I spun that one out here in qualifying, just overdriving it, and that's just trying to use all that horsepower when you only should have used some of it.
Keeping it out of the wall.
And it's a great idea by the Speedway to have all that area paved too.
Absolutely.
If that area was grass, more than likely Terry probably would have got into the inside wall.
And you see he's not the first one to do that.
There's a few other tire tracks that head down to the left. So while Terry is going to have service done on his vehicle, the lucky dog, Aaron's lucky dog, goes to the 36 of Rob Brents. Justin Marks still out front of the field. Welcome back. Racing for Wildlife 200. The ARCA Remax Series here at Michigan International Speedway. Mikey Kyle in the 29 had a little difference with, well, one of the drivers on the racetrack. Wasn't sure where he was supposed to be. Didn't follow one of ARCA's official statements saying you need to give up your spot. And they said, well, you're black flagged if you're not going to follow our rules or our statements as to what we'd like you to do. And so now they're letting him go back out on the racetrack.
He took advantage of this to come down pit road and change tires, and they held him probably 15 seconds, but he's going to stay on the lead lap, so it could work out to be a break. But there's our Aaron's lucky dog for Michigander, Rob Brent. I asked him earlier if he had any Red Wing tickets. He said no, he'd like to have some.
Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals taking place later on this evening. Adam Alexander.
And you guys talked about the issue with the 29. That opened the door for Allie Owens to gain one more position. Started 24th today, and she is running a limited schedule in 2009, but has been on a roll in recent weeks. Her best ever finish coming at Talladega. In fact, she's in the midst of 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, should she be able to hang on to where she is right now. Good job for that young lady.
Allie has done a nice job. 2 top 10 finishes the last 2 times out. That's a great race team right there. Eddie DeHunt, his Toyota team, got together this year with Allie to run a limited number of races. You can see, obviously, 6th at Talladega, Pocono, 10th, her last 2 times out. Not running a full schedule, running the majority of the super speedway races. And obviously here at this 2-mile racetrack at Michigan, and she's doing a nice job right now, currently running 6th.
Add to that top 10 finish list. Again, this race tagged the Racing for Wildlife 200. That is a organization that is, I guess, trying to make everything a little bit greener, or we talk about greener
part of it
situations.
Part of it's being green, but the bottom line is just, you know, helping protect the wildlife and the outdoors for generations to come. Our current project, as I stated, was the Mill Lake Youth Camp, and doing another project with the Cedar, I believe it's Cedar Lake around here. It's basically kind of like a little camp, but
right.
Just to be able to help refurbish these places that have, you know, Michigan did a great job so long ago with their parks and recreation areas, but to help kind of resurrect some of those things so that we can have those for generations to come. So go to RyanHenryFoundation.org to find out more about that, and our foundation in particular, but as well as RacingForWildlife.com. You can find out information about our Racing for Wildlife initiatives.
You're a busy man. You're not only driving the U.S. Army number 39, but you're also involved in kind of saving the earth a little bit.
I have help.
That's good.
My wife helps a lot, our foundation director. We have a lot of help, but we're going back green.
Green flag back in the air. Justin Marks on the outside. He's your race leader. His teammate Jesse Smith just behind him. Austin Dillon looks almost to the inside. And now here comes Jesse Smith challenging for the lead.
You know, these 2 drivers may be teammates, but they're both looking for win number 1 here in the ARCA Remax Series.
Justin Marks able to hold on to that top spot. It looked as though Jesse Smith wanted to get by him through 1 and 2.
And that's Justin Lofton right now that's in front of the 2. But he's being shown 17, 18 laps down.
He had an issue.
We know he's got a fast race car, so those he might wreak a little havoc unless he lays over for those guys that are up front. Just taking a little bit of that air off those guys sitting behind them can make a big difference on the impact of the race.
Again, that's Lofton in front of Justin Marks, but Justin Marks is our race leader. Lofton scored 18 laps down. He had an issue earlier in the race. He was dominant early on in this one. Close call there with the outside wall. Looked like Chase Miller in that 4.
A lot of
too close to the wall.
A lot of these cars right now still on the lead lap. There's Allie Owens, Joey Coulter, the 16 car. Joey's being shown in the 7th position. That is a battle for position right there. There's Parker Kligerman making his way back into this battle.
Craig Gose in the 81 just in the middle. Steve Arpin on the outside. It's Allie Owens in the 19. 3 and 4 wide here at Michigan International Speedway.
Craig Gose slides up the racetrack right in front of Allie Owens. There's Steve Arpin, the 20.
Slow on the racetrack, the 60 of Patrick Sheltra. Again, a Toyota this week for Patrick Sheltra, and it looks like they're having problems.
Definitely not a fuel issue. Tough break though for Patrick Sheltra.
Such a strong start. Actually, an incident at Daytona, which was difficult for him. Broke his back at Daytona in an accident, and then he gets his first win in the ARCA Remax Series later on this year.
Comes into this race 5th in points. Obviously, our point leader Justin Lofton has trouble. Now our 5th place point man has trouble.
And there's the gap now between Justin Marks and Jesse Smith. There's Jesse Smith in the 25. He's running 2nd. 3rd is Clay Rogers in the 42.
He was able to get by the 31 car of Austin Dillon to take over that 3rd spot. Austin right now running 4th. Joey Coulter, the 16 car, running 5th.
Now on pit road, the 60 of Patrick Sheltra, Adam.
And the motor is not running, so they think he has blown it up on the racetrack. A couple of the guys from Triad Racing Technologies, this being a Toyota, going over the wall, looking under the hood to see what they can dissect. If they can find something that's fixable, obviously it would be huge to go back out and make some laps. But a top 5 day at Michigan for Patrick Sheltra is going to go by the wayside. You can see the disappointment in the crew.
Top 10 keeps falling off the racetrack. We had Justin Lofton with problems early. Now it's Patrick Sheltra with issues. There you see the 31 of Austin Dillon trying to get back by Clay Rogers in that 42. Oh, smoke blowing up there is Clay Rogers. We're all over it. Great camera work there.
Huge amount of smoke. The caution flag is not out yet. ARCA Remax officials looking at the racetrack. Looks like he's definitely putting something down on the racetrack.
Fluid going down. He's trying to make the left turn to get off of the racetrack, but there's definitely a dark line from behind him, and they stay green.
What a horrible break for Clay Rogers. What a great run he had going, and made his way all the way up to the 3rd spot. Was in position, did not have to pit anymore, and unfortunately it looks like the motor expired.
We've had a lot of guys in the top 10, top 5 that have had some kind of form of problem related to the engine, whether it's a kill switch or an engine or whatever.
Yeah.
So again, Clay Rogers, who was running in the top 5. Engine expires for him. Justin Marks continues to run with just 24 laps to go.
I remember engine builders talking about this racetrack being one of the most difficult racetracks because of the long straightaways. There's Steve Arpin. This is about 5 laps ago when Steve Arpin was running in this heavy group right here, all on the lead lap, when he slides into the outside wall coming off turn 2.
And right here on the outside, that 42, boom, engine blows.
I wonder if maybe that engine started going sour because we saw him get by, or we didn't see it, but we knew he passed the 31 of Austin Dillon, and then Austin was making his way back by the 42.
He was working on Jesse Smith for 2nd place there, but obviously it expired, and expired in a big way, but we're still green.
Green flag racing continues.
There's Ryan Crane right there, the 51 car. We haven't talked a whole lot about him. That's a Phoenix racing car. James Finch owns that 51 car. Ryan from nearby Panama City, where James is from, and James has seen to it that he's able to run a couple races here. He's really doing a nice job right now, just on the outside of the top 10, actually battling those 2 cars right there for a top 10 spot.
Craig Gose trying to hold on, as well as Allie Owens trying to keep their cars in position for a top 10 finish today. And Justin Marks continues to lead here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Difficult ending for the 42 of Clay Rogers. Welcome back. Racing for Wildlife 200. Right now, Justin Marks might not be breathing as easy as he was earlier because his teammate just had a problem on the racetrack. And the reason why Justin Marks would be a little nervous about it, it was an engine problem.
Tough break for Jesse Smith. Had a nice solid 2nd place run going. You see the smoke, the telltale smoke right there.
Fortunately got down the pit road. Everything was fine.
The good news is for Justin Marks, that's a Chevrolet, and he's driving a Toyota.
That is a good point.
So there should be no comparison there with the engines.
Good point.
Good battle right here for 2nd place, Rick.
Austin Dillon was able to take over 2nd when Jesse Smith went off the racetrack. Now Parker Kligerman's battling for that 2nd spot. Jim.
Guys, I just spoke with Jesse Smith, who climbed out obviously dejected after running 2nd to his teammate. This is the same Chevy he ran to 3rd at Kentucky. They came here and tested. He was very pleased with that race car. Obviously a great performer. He said there was no real warning. He was slowing just a bit. He could feel it just for about half a lap or so before it let go. Adam?
And Allie Owens has slid back. We talked about her moments ago, running solidly in the top 10, now being scored in the 11th position. And to make matters worse, she's overheating. So we'll continue to see how her progress goes. But unfortunately, in the late going, the 19 vehicle moving in the wrong direction.
Allie looking for another top 10 finish, but struggling now as we get down to the final 16 laps of this race. Currently on the lead lap.
Look up here, Rick. That's the points as of now. Remember, Justin Lofton came in with a 75-point lead. his problems on the racetrack here have allowed Parker Kligerman to have a 55-point lead now as they run. He's in a battle for the second position, so he may be able even to gain more points, but big shakeup in the point standings here.
17 cars on the lead lap. Tim George Jr. is running 17th. Adam.
And you talk about Austin Dillon, who's currently running in the second position, and caution now on the racetrack. That's exactly what the folks of the 77 pit wanted. Parker Kligerman running third. He may be the driver to watch here.
Yeah, Adam, we were just sitting up here looking at it, and he was about 8 seconds behind, and Ryan and I were talking amongst ourselves and said there's no way with less than 20 laps to go that he will have enough time. But obviously now he's going to restart right on the rear bumper of Justin Marks, so we should have a great battle to the finish. Or actually, Austin Dillon's going to be in second.
Yeah, we got a great opportunity with what looks like a right front tire there on the 30 car.
And again, he spun coming off of turn 2 earlier, didn't get into anything on the back stretch, but now, like you mentioned, looks like a right front going down for Terry Jones, and into the wall he goes. Our 8th caution of the afternoon.
Yeah, Terry was still one of the cars on the lead lap, and unfortunately that right front tire going down is going to pretty much put an end to his day. They may be able to patch it up and get back out, but he will not be able to maintain any kind of decent speed.
Yeah, well, between Justin Marks, Austin Dillon, and Parker Kligerman, we'll have a heck of a shootout here with about, I'm going to say about 10 laps to go when we get the green again.
Would tires be that much of a premium that you would want to come in for, say, a 10-lap run?
How many cars do we have in the lead lap now?
16 actually.
Yeah, I mean, even if half of them do, it's that track position is extremely important. So double foul restarts, that's a catch-22 there.
I'm like you. If I'm in the back half of the lead lap cars, I'm coming in anyway. I really don't have that much to lose. If you're running 9th through 10th, you know, you put tires on, you may be able to restart in the same position you were, and then you have a shot at maybe improving your position. But for these guys up front, boy, I'd hate to give up that track position.
Yeah, and their cars are working pretty good. Looks like the tires, based on the lap times, aren't falling off a ton, and obviously the tires are going to cool off here. So it's tough to say, but you know, you would imagine, as it typically is, half of them will split and come down, and the other half will stay out.
We're going to add one to the list of lead lap cars. That will be Todd Hansen that will join them on the lead lap. So we will have 17 cars on the lead lap now that Aarons has given the lucky dog to Todd Hansen.
Justin Marks is the first guy that has to decide. A half-hearted fake towards pit road.
He didn't commit to the fake, did he?
So did Parker Kligerman. He kind of ducked and then decided no. I'm not
Joey
going
Coulter
to.
at the last second decides not to come to pit road. There's Brian Silas. He looks like he's the first car to come to pit road, and he was running 6th.
Allie Owens is overheating a bit. You can see the steam blowing out the overflow at the base of her windshield. And we do have a few cars that have decided to come onto pit road. Craig Ghost being one of them in the 81. The 11 of Brian Silas comes to stop on pit road and look like he's going to get right side tires.
So the top 9 stayed out. 10th on back came in.
Looks like they'll put 4 fresh ones on for Brian Silas. They'll bring that race car back off of pit road since they're done with the service there. And Allie Owens still steam rolling out at the base of the windshield for the 19 as she comes off pit road second. Here's the 2, Tim George Jr.
There's that new windshield, that new clear view. We'll have a good look here for these last 10 or 11 laps, however many green flag laps we're able to get to run.
Tim George Jr. makes his way back out onto the racetrack. Take a look at this close call. Allie Owens, whoa, last second. The hard left turn and onto pit road. Well, Sunday on Speed, NASCAR race day marches into Michigan. Before the action heats up on the track, be there as Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, who is our guest, discuss the phenomenal first season of Stewart Haas Racing.
When is that?
Well, it's a good question.
Sunday
It's 10:30 Sunday morning. You're going to be there, right?
I hope so.
Hey, what a great weekend you guys had. All of Stewart Haas Racing last weekend.
Yeah, it was a great run for both of us. Obviously, Tony winning the race, and us to be able to come back from the engine problem that we had and get the spark plug fixed, and you know, come back and get a top 5 finish. It was a great run for the Haas Automation Chevrolet.
8 times we've been slowed for caution, and that is a new race record. That's one of the records we don't like to break.
Very clean race last year. I think we had 150-mile-an-hour average last year.
Yeah, that has slowed down considerably today.
This will be an interesting restart with 10 to go here when we take the green. You got 3 guys up front, and then obviously you've got some guys in the back with some fresher tires. What do you got there, Jim?
Ryan, I'm looking at the 16 car. This car was built by Harold Howley, one of the 9 cars they built since January 27th for this Coulter effort. They bought a bunch of Justin Allgaier stuff, went through completely. This car only saw the test at Michigan and came back here with it. Harold Howley and those boys had to fight through some brake issues earlier, so Joey Coulter running for what could be tying his best career finish, which was last race at Pocono. So these guys are really turned up the wick for Coulter in his chase for Rookie of the Year. A great run by these guys. They had brake issues earlier, 2 pit stops to fix it, and they've been in contention ever since.
10 laps, 20 miles. Justin Marks, Austin Dillon, Parker Kligerman, your top 3. Green flag in the air. Here comes Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon tries to get a run. Oh, a little loose there for the 15. He gets sideways. Parker Kligerman right through the middle, and there's problems with the 15. He sheds the right rear tire, and into the wall he goes. The caution will come out once again.
What a horrible break for Justin Marks.
The right rear tire looked to be going on Justin Marks just as he entered turn number 1. Couldn't keep the handle on it, and into the wall he goes hard.
Yeah, he did it. Tried his best to save that car and keep it out of the wall, but it finally caught, and around it went, made hard contact head on into the outside wall. You see Justin moving around in the car a little bit, but we talk about the softer walls and the safer barriers. They're safer, but man, they still are hard.
You see what it did to the race car, but you know, odds are he probably had a puncture or something under caution, and when you wiggle your car, it's not the same. When you wiggle your car under caution, it's not the same as getting the tire loaded up in the corner, and he just got the wiggle in there, got the car sideways, and then the car just swapped ends on him, and he drove it right straight in the outside fence. So tough shot. You can see the radiator popping instantaneously.
2 or 3 times he caught that thing,
and you see the tires already shredded.
If he hadn't have been it so fast right here, he's probably running 140-50 miles an hour right here, even though it's right after a restart. Did a nice job saving. Some nice job by a couple guys getting by him right there. Frank Kimmel, one of those cars in the Menards Ansel Ford.
Jim Trado.
Well, he was telling the crew over the radio, guys, I tried to save it 2 or 3 times. When I went into turn 1, I knew I had a problem. The left rear was going down on that car. He said, I tried to save it, and I just couldn't. So he's disappointed. They asked him if he's okay. Yes, Justin Marks is okay. The team said, well, at least they knew we were here today, guys. And Justin now climbs from his car, disappointed, as you can imagine, as this team was ready to win their 2nd race in a row with this race cars. Logano won with this car and the Venturini Motorsports team last week at Pocono.
Great to see Justin out of that car walking around and waving to the crowd. I know he's a huge disappointment for him not being able to finish the deal, but he sure ran well.
He did run very well, and man, I don't know what it is, but whoever's running up front has been cursed today.
And look now, Parker Kligerman actually had passed Austin Dillon prior to the caution coming out, so Parker Kligerman is leading our race now and leading our points as they run.
Again, Justin Lofton coming into this race with the points lead. Had issues. He was scored 18 laps down. Now it's 17 laps down for Justin Lofton, and he is running in the 32nd position. You see the damage to the front end of the 15. Again, Justin Marks leading this race on the restart, coming into turn number 1. Found out very quickly that the right rear was going down on that race car. It wiggled once, the tire shredded, and then he tried to save it again, and into the outside wall he went. Now Parker Kligerman in front of Austin Dillon. Makes for an interesting restart one more time.
Guess it's cool to have a black race car today, huh?
Well, right now it is. Speaking of black race car, we actually have some prom pictures from a week ago when Parker Kligerman left Pocono, took off. And
I see why he left.
Jenna Westrop, his prom date. Now, Parker actually is still in high school. He will be graduating, I think, next week.
Yeah, I think he has final exams coming up this week, and you know, he was going to drive back to Westport, Connecticut for his prom, and Roger Penske surprised him and flew him back in one of the team private planes to get back in time for his prom.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Good to see him putting the emphasis on the education as well.
Absolutely.
And coming back and doing this, having the fun and getting a race at the same time.
It's interesting you say that. I believe Purdue was where you got your higher education.
Yes, I did, and you know, anybody that's out there, you know, got the opportunity. I was fortunate; my parents helped pay for my college. I actually paid for all my college, and you know, they call it furthered education for a reason. And
exactly.
You get to go there and be smarter, and it helps you with your future. So at least it did for me. If it's not a university or a college, go to the armed forces, try the U.S. Army, any other armed forces. You know, you can get an education in a lot of places.
Adam Alexander.
Well, you guys talked about the interesting time in the life of young Parker Kligerman, and the crew chief is Chris Carrier. And do you remember your high school prom, Chris?
My memory's not that good. No, not that far back. But anyway, I love this kid. He's a lot of fun to be around. He's a wonderful young man, and we're working very hard on that to promote that and help him with that, as well as being a race driver. You know, being a good person, a good citizen, helping him with his education, giving him plans to go to UNC Charlotte next year in college. That's our priority. But he's amazing in his car, and he's just a real pleasure to be around. Not a hint of arrogance, you know, just appreciates everything. We're just doing the best we can right now to get this Cunningham Motorsports Dodge, this Penske power motor, man, into victory lane. We got him through Pocono last week, and he went to his prom, and then he called me on Monday, and I could tell he was somewhere noisy, and ended up he was riding on the school bus coming back from a field trip at Six Flags, and he got sick on the roller coaster. So he went from running at 210 mile an hour at Pocono, swapping paint with Joey Logano, who's one of the best in the world, you know, to getting sick on roller coasters. And that's the kind of deal, you know, with this guy. He's just amazing at the amount of knowledge he's got. He's got a tremendous amount of ability, raw talent. It's really refreshing to see that, you know, and we're just hoping that we can keep going, giving him good things. These guys have worked really hard. Cunningham Motorsports is a marvelous operation. They have a real eye for raw talent. They got a lot of experience at it, and my hat's off and thanks to Kerry Schurer and Mark Gibson and Alan Moore, those guys with that team. And man, I'm just hanging on, riding on the boat, eating sandwiches and having a blast. You know, and got some good friends out here helping us on the pit crew here, and they're having a blast. So just a lot of fun. A beautiful day here. Great day to watch a race. You know, every race here at Michigan's, you know, super, man. It's you can't beat it. So just having a lot of fun.
All right, Jim.
Well, Harold Holley has been having a lot of fun with the now 19-year-old Joey Coulter. Running third right now, Harold, we talked about before the race with you about how excited you are to get this brand new race car on the racetrack. How have you been able to temper yet keep this young man in contention here at Michigan?
I tell you, Joey's just awesome to work with. He's his demeanor stays calm the whole time. He never really gets excited about too much, and he does a fantastic job out there, man. This kid's a real good shoe. I mean, it's just a blessing to work with him. The Darrell Gwynn Tempest Chevrolet has been running strong all day long. Joey and I's communications come a long way since Daytona, but I believe I over-tightened him just a little bit on that last pit stop. I probably tightened him up about a 2 too much, and so Parker was able to get around us right there. But them two guys get to racing real hard, and I know Joey's going to stick it in there. He wants that trophy really, really, really bad.
As far as building this team from virtually nothing, how much joy have you had working with a young man and seeing that talent come to life? Fourth last week at Pocono, and now running third here today.
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been awesome just watching him come along and, you know, taking him to places he's never been. Joey studies the races so hard. He goes back and watches every tape. Every Tuesday and Wednesday he's up there pit practicing, driving the pit car. working out, just doing everything he can to get better. And man, he's come such a long way. Daytona was his first race in the ARCA car, and seeing him at Pocono last week get his first top 5. I mean, it's just real awesome. I tell you, he's great, man.
And Joey did move up to Charlotte as soon as he could get out of school, so he's been at the shop for a couple weeks learning more about how this team is operating in their shops in Charlotte. Guys?
Again, Joey Coulter running third. When we come back, well, there'll be 4 laps to go. Parker Kligerman out in front of Austin Dillon. Tomorrow on Speed, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series roars into the Irish Hills. Last year, it was Eric Darnell capturing the win by only 5/1000ths of a second. It was one of NASCAR's closest finishes in history. Who will claim bragging rights this year? Tune in for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. We've got 2 guys that are running the ARCA race today that will also be running that Camping World race tomorrow. Brian, when are we going to see you back in a truck?
I'm not 100% sure. I got the opportunity to race for Kevin Harvick and Delaney Harvick, and I think we have 1 or 2 more on the schedule. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. It's not any time in the near future, I can tell you.
Has that been a lot of fun for you?
It is a lot of fun. The trucks are a lot of fun to drive. They're great competition, great competitors. And, I've had a lot of fun racing for Kevin Harvick and that truck. I mean, obviously when I won the first race out in Atlanta last year, that was a lot of fun. But it's tough competition.
You know, the ARCA REMAX Series here on this 2-mile super speedway at Michigan, and next week they're going to be in Mansfield on a little half-a-mile track. Actually, it's about 4/10. They call it a half a mile, but for the Tim Richmond Memorial 200. Tim was a guy that was a good friend of mine. I was able to race with him. This is Tim right here in Victory Lane at Daytona for the ARCA race in 1981. I was actually in that race. I finished 4th. Tim Richmond won that race. That is John Markham, the founder right there for the ARCA REMAX Series. That was shortly before Mr. Markham's death. And Ron Drager, who is our president right now of the ARCA REMAX, the ARCA Series, is John Markham's grandson. So,
and I circled one of my favorite card games of all time, Uno, which was the sponsor of that car.
Can you imagine today having a card game sponsor?
I know.
A cup car?
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
Very amazing.
Tell you how much racing has changed and the business has changed.
But to what a tragic loss to the sport Tim Richmond was. He obviously got sick and had to end his driving career, and then unfortunately lost his life a couple years later. But one of the great talents that we ever had come down the pike here in this sport.
Well, folks, we are going to see a green-white finish, it looks like. When they come by this time, there will be 2 laps to go. So you will see
1 lap of racing.
1 lap of racing.
Yeah. It's unlike the NASCAR series where we will always have a green-white checker. In the ARCA REMAX Series, if they can finish in the prescribed distance, which is 100 laps, then they will do that. So we will have a 1-lap shootout here to decide this race.
The green and the white flag will go in the air together. It's Parker Kligerman that will bring the field to that green and white flag. Austin Dillon will have 1 chance, as will Joey Coulter and Chase Miller. You see those cars, as well as James Buescher. Now Buescher has, well, he's got a perfect record going this year with 2 wins the 2 times he's been in the ARCA REMAX Series, but restarting 5th, he's got a lot of work to get by these 4 cars in front of him.
But how about that nice comeback by Chase Miller? Remember, we saw him get turned around at the start, at the start-finish line on a restart, and actually had some damage to the rear of that car. You can see it right there, and is rebounded to a 4th place run right now. And Ryan Crane, we haven't talked a lot about him. He's running in the 6th spot in only his 2nd ever ARCA Series race.
The 51. Behind him, Rob Brent, the 36, Mikey Kyle, the 29, Allie Owens back up into the top 10. She's running in the number 19, and then Craig Ghost rounding out our top 10 in the 81. They are all bunching up behind the 77 of Parker Kligerman. The pace car will make the hard left turn onto pit road. The field will be back in the hands of the 77 driver, Parker Kligerman. Can he hold on for 2 miles and win at Michigan? We're about to find out. Green flag back in the air. We're underway. 1 lap to go.
Look at Austin Dillon. He's trying to think of a way around. Chase Miller gets by Joey Coulter for the 3rd position.
Joey Coulter slows, as does the 19 of Allie Owen, she's trying to hang on to that race car. And now Parker Kligerman with a big run. You see the steam coming out of the 16 of Joey Coulter. There must be an issue with that race car as he continues to fall back. But it's the 77 that pulls forward and tries to pull away from the 31. Can Austin Dillon reel him in? Coming out of turn number 4. There's not enough time and not enough racetrack. It's going to be Parker Kligerman winning in Michigan.
James Busher rebounded to a 4th place finish. Nice job by him, but what a run by Parker Kligerman. 18 years old, has to go back to school and take final exams.
But he gets his 2nd win of the 2009 season, as well as jumps to the points lead in the ARCA REMAX Series. And again, we talked about this early on. They had only scheduled 8 races for this young man in the 2009 season. Well, today was his 8th race, and now he's a 2-time winner and your points leader in the ARCA REMAX Series.
I gotta believe they're gonna rethink that only running 8 races. They can't not go next week to Mansfield.
We'll be right back. The trophy presentation. Speed's coverage of the ARCA REMAX Series is brought to you by REMAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. And by ARCA Nation. Get in, get on at arcaracing.com. 2nd win of 2009 in just his 11th race, Parker Kligerman. The young man who celebrated his Pocono race a week ago by, well, heading off to his prom, his high school prom. And then, what a gift. Another win for Parker Kligerman. Let's go to victory lane.
And this team had a battle back from adversity today, Rick. They lost a lap when they pitted under green and got trapped a lap down, but they were able to rally and get win number 2 for Parker Kligerman in race number 8 of 2009. And the victory, oh so sweet. And the Gatorade shower to go along with it. I'm wet. This was not an easy day. You guys went a lap down despite the fact you had a very strong race car. Yep. How concerned were you at that stage you weren't going to have an opportunity to show it off?
Oh man, I don't know. We kept making adjustments on it, but we couldn't get past being tight the whole time. And we knew we were faster. We just didn't know how much faster and how much we could get up there. And with all those yellows and wrecks and stuff, that's frustrating. Oh man. We just kept trying, I guess. You know, we just moved up, and before I knew it, we were sitting 3rd, and they're like, hey, 10 to go, let's do it. And so we just went after it. We got that great restart, and the 15 got moved up by the 31, and we just went through them. It was pretty cool. That's how you restart.
The plan at the beginning of this year was to run 8 races. This was your 8th race, 2 wins, and you're the point leader. What's the plan from here?
We'll see. I think we'll be at Mansfield. We'll see from there. But we're always looking for the partners to continue more, and it's pretty black, so we'll see if we can put on this car in the near future.
Success on the short tracks and the super speedways. Parker Kligerman in victory lane again. Jim Trado.
And he just beat out 19-year-old Austin Dillon in his 3rd ARCA REMAX Series start. Austin, take us through your day.
Well, we had a great day. We had to start in the back because of the rained-out qualifying, but we were able to come back and overcome everything. The first spin there, we had to go through the grass and messed up our left front fender, but the guys did a great job fixing it. Had a rough test, and were able to come back and bring a great car. I just can't wait till we come back here. I learned a lot today, and it was just a great day all in all.
And if you keep a track at home for school, he graduated on Friday.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got some young guys out here that are making a name for themselves. Parker Kligerman jumps up to the points lead. 50 points in front of Justin Lofton. 175 points in front of 9-time series champion Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, Frank gained a little bit of ground that time, but Parker Kligerman right now, he is on a roll. The youngster has never finished out of the top 10 other than one time at Kentucky earlier this year in his entire career.
We had problems for Justin Lofton today. We had problems for Patrick Sheltra. He was off the racetrack late. Tom Hessert had issues as well, but the problems seem to not be too big for the 77 of Parker Kligerman. He got his lap back and was able to go on and win this race.
We certainly want to thank Ryan Newman for joining us. Ryan had to leave during our commercial break to get down there to present the trophy to Parker Kligerman.
Interesting and a lot of fun when you come to Michigan International Speedway. We had a record for cautions, but in the end, It was the 77 of Parker Kligerman who rose to the top and the occasion for his second ARCA win.